Hello, welcome to the 4 steps to managing vestibular migraine from home masterclass. My name is Dr. Madison. You can call me Madison, Dr. Madison, anything with an M, really. I am so excited for you to be here because this masterclass has turned the lives of so many people, so many vestibular warriors, completely in a different direction. Today, we're going to learn a lot of things, but I first wanted to kind of introduce myself. So, if you don't know me, my name again is Dr. Madison. This is what I look like. I'm down here in the lower left hand corner if you haven't found my faces yet. And I'm a vestibular physical therapist. I started my own vestibular physical therapy company back in around 2020. It's called Oak Physical Therapy and Wellness, and it houses everything the Vertigo doctor, Oak Physical Therapy and Wellness, my actual vestibular therapy clinic, and then, of course, vestibular group fit as well. There's a lot of ways that you can work with me, and I have developed all of these ways to work with me because everyone is a little bit different and everyone's needs are a little bit different. I am a Californian originally. I'm from San Luis Obispo, California. I have lived all over the country. I have lived in Wisconsin, go Badgers. I went to grad school out there. I've lived in Oregon. I have lived in Austin, Texas. I have lived in New Orleans, New York City, and now I reside in Jackson Hole. I love to ski. My husband and I have a dog named Hugo. He loves to be outside. We walk him around all the time. And if I am not talking about vestibular disorders, which everyone jokes is literally my personality, I'm not making this up. I am either baking, I'm currently baking so much sourdough bread. Everyone in my life is like having bread come out their ears. I did not get that like 2020 bug to bake sourdough bread. So here in 2024, here I am. I love to be outside. It is the reason we moved to Jackson Hole next to all the beautiful national parks and the mountains, but mostly I love to ski. And seriously, if you look at my Instagram story on any given day, it is probably something about me skiing. I am not joking around. So that is really fun as long as it's ski season, at least. In 2020, I realized that there was such a need for vestibular resources, which is why I started the Vertigo Doctor on Instagram. And everything the Vertigo Doctor has just grown from there. I saw this need because I saw all these patients either with long COVID or vestibular migraine or neuritis or whatever it was. And today we're talking about vestibular migraine specifically. But all of these patients were coming to me, and then all of my colleagues were referring the people who were having chronic symptoms to me. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I really dove into the research and I determined and discovered exactly the things that you need to do in order to manage your vestibular disorder from a comprehensive level. So not only was I like the physical therapist in the clinic who they were sending these patients to, just crossing their fingers they were going to get better. But I was also the physical therapist that was actually helping these people get better. Then over time, I saw the need of obviously everyone to have vestibular resources, not only in the clinic, but also at home, because there are different barriers to care, right? There are barriers to access via that we are breaking down via telehealth and things like that. But group programs like this that are really low cost, like vestibular group fit, for example, are really, really helpful because you can access it from home all the time and you don't need to go to the doctor in order to get help. Of course, go to the doctor, get the help you need, get the medications, get the opinion, get the diagnosis. But there are so many resources that you need as a person with a vestibular disorder. And so I thought, why not put them all in one place? Today, we are going to learn about vestibular migraine specifically. Do I have it? Why does it happen? Is it manageable? Are there cures? How do we manage the dizziness? Is the dizziness going to be chronic every single day for the rest of our lives? I want to quickly tell you absolutely not. That is not what's going to be happening. But there are things that we need to do on a regular basis in order for chronic dizziness and vestibular migraine to feel under control so you can live your life with dizziness in the backseat. So again, I've always known I wanted to be a physical therapist. Seriously, I said I'm going to be a physical therapist probably since I was 13 years old. So I've known that for a really long time, but I did not know that vestibular therapy was even a thing. But I interned in 2015 in a hospital in Nepal for a stroke unit. I was so unknowledgeable at the time. I was in college and I was like, wow, this balance system situation is so fascinating. Then fast forward a couple years to physical therapy school, all the internships. I lived in Austin, Texas, kind of like I was telling you before. And I wanted this internship because I had a place to live there. And at this internship, all I did all day, every day was see people with vestibular disorders, and it changed my entire life. Chronic illnesses like vestibular migraine are so often driven by uncertainty, loss of control, and lack of information. That is from a book by Gabor Mate, who it is called When the Body Says No. And when I heard this, I was like, this literally changed my life because I believe that you deserve the knowledge, control, education, and absolute certainty about what it is that you need to do for your health in a very comprehensive and holistic way. So many people, when they are at the doctor's office, have said to me afterwards, my doctor says this is just an anxiety. I just have to live like this. They don't know what it is. They don't know what to tell me. All my tests keep coming back normal, but I don't feel normal, right? And it's so much more than just another medication. Medical doctors are taught to prescribe you a medication. That is their job, right? But there's so much more to managing vestibular disorders than taking an SSRI. And some of us don't even tolerate those. So, what do we do in those situations? Chronic illnesses, again, they are driven by you not knowing what to do. There's uncertainty about what this is and what I should do. There's such a loss and lack of control, right? You don't have control over the symptoms. You don't have control over what's going on in your body right now, especially at the beginning. And even if you've been dealing with this for 20, 25 years, there's such a lack of control. And then there's lack of information. There are no good resources. Well, I should say very few good resources about vestibular disorders that exist on the internet. And most of them are either hard to read, hard to understand, or not super encouraging. But I want to tell you that if you have a vestibular disorder and you are here, feel encouraged because I am not messing around when I say that this gets so much better. So, again, we believe that you deserve knowledge, control, education, and absolute certainty about the things that you can control to improve your health in a comprehensive and holistic way. And since I was in that clinic, again, I just had my life completely changed because people with vestibular disorders are the best, kindest, most loving, fun group of people I've truly ever met in a really frustrating, hard situation. And I was like, there has to be a better way than just all of these people trying to treat this person. And it's like all the information's here and here and here and here. And it's like a spider web of information that's not really clicking. So I was like, you know what? Let's bridge some gaps here. This is going to be my job. But first, what the heck is vestibular migraine? And I think my head might be blocking this bottom one, but I will tell you what it says. You don't have to read. Just listen up. Vestibular migraine is a migraine disorder. So it comes from migraine. All migraine is migraine. And it causes different symptoms in different people because it's a spectrum disorder, meaning some people get head pain and light sensitivity, other people have dizziness and sound sensitivity, no head pain, no light sensitivity, and it really is on this spectrum of different symptoms. In order to have vestibular migraine right now, these are the definite criteria. And I want to say up front that the definite criteria at this moment, frankly, aren't that great. They don't cast a wide enough net. But most people in the bell curve will fit into this. But there's also probable vestibular migraine diagnostic criteria. I didn't include those in here. They are in the vestibular group fit vestibular migraine module. You can also Google them if you want. Here they are. At least 5 episodes of vestibular symptoms of moderate or severe intensity lasting 5 minutes to 72 hours. This is where it gets kind of funky because some people have these like quick spins that come with vestibular migraine, and that does not last 5 minutes. It's like a quick kind of a thing. And that definitely doesn't last 72 hours. It's like a quick back forth, the room just moved, and you're like, whoa, that's weird. That's not BPPV. That's typical of vestibular migraine. B is current or previous history of migraine with or without aura according to ICHD classifications. That's the International Classification of Headache Disorders classifications. And this means that you currently have to have migraine in order to get a vestibular migraine diagnosis. This does not require head pain, and this does not require you to have a history of migraine. It is a genetically related disorder, meaning that it likely does run in your family, but there are some bigger triggers, which we won't get into today, that can trigger this, even if you have a whole family with no migraine whatsoever. I've seen it happen before, and I will see it happen again. And then one or more features with at least 50% of your vestibular episodes. So, headache can be one of those features. So, headache with at least 2 of the following characteristics: unilateral pulsating slash throbbing, moderate to severe intensity, or aggravated by routine physical activity, or photophobia, and phonophobia. So either photophobia, light sensitivity, and sound sensitivity. And then visual aura. And again, visual aura is not something we have time to get into today, but these are the classifications. And the last one says, not better accounted for by another vestibular or ICHD diagnosis. So these symptoms are not better accounted for by Meniere's disease or BPPV or something like that. So those are the official diagnostic criteria. But of course, not everyone fits in those exact diagnostic criteria. And of course, you're like, I kind of have this, but I might not have that. I'm not really sure. So what do I actually see in people? The neurological disorder that is epigenetically triggered. So you're going to be born with a set of genes, right? And epigenetics is how those genes respond to our environment. And so things like concussion, things like environmental toxins, things like really high stress situations, things like hormonal changes, all of these things can change your genetics and epigenetically trigger vestibular migraine to start happening. It causes lots of different symptoms in lots of different people. Kind of like I was saying before, it is a spectrum, and we'll talk about what those symptoms kind of are for different people in the next slide. And it lives 24/7 in your brain, but it comes in the form of attacks. And I find that this is something that sometimes can get a little bit confusing. So let me double down on this. This means if you've ever met someone with asthma, they have asthma all the time, but it comes in the form of attacks. Asthma is a chronic illness/disorder that lives in someone's body all the time, and then they get attacks. And these attacks can be induced by cold, sports, allergies, other things. I'm no asthma expert, but it's a good comparison. Or it could be, you could think of it kind of like epilepsy. People with epilepsy have epilepsy all the time, but it comes in the form of seizures in its attacks. So vestibular migraine is a disorder that's happening all the time in your brain, but it comes in the form of attacks. Even when you're not having an attack, you still are a person who lives with vestibular migraine. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to send me a DM. There are no cures, and this is where everyone stops listening, so keep listening. But you can go into remission and absolutely live most of your days symptom free. I know many people who are completely symptom free on 98% of their days, which is fantastic. A cure would imply that you will never, ever, 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 ever experience dizziness again. And that's just not part of the human experience, especially when you live with vestibular migraine. You might have a little bit of dizziness in your life again. And that's something that is, for most people, like, okay, if I had a little bit of dizziness a few times a year or even a couple times a month rather than every single day, that's a huge win from where I am right now. And this is something that also, if you have questions about, I am happy to help talk through with you. If someone's saying like, I have a cure for your migraine disorder, please run. It is a huge red flag. It comes in phases. So the phases we can get into more at another time. We don't have time for that today, but they are generally prodrome, aura, attack, which some people call the headache phase, but not all my patients have headache who have vestibular migraine. You don't need headache, postdrome, and then interictal. Last but not least, head pain is not required. I really want to double down on that. I promise you it's not a requirement. Do I have vestibular migraine? Here are some symptoms that you might feel on a regular basis that count as vestibular symptoms for people with vestibular migraine. There are more than just this list, and you have questions about your specific ones, tell me you took this course on Instagram and send me a DM. So dropping or falling sensations, being pulled one way or another, brain zaps, which is like where someone feels like they're putting a cattle prod in your brain kind of a thing, internal or external vertigo, which means either I feel like I'm moving or I see the room spinning, dizziness or lightheadedness, light or sound sensitivity, bobbing or swaying, feeling like you're walking on a trampoline, feeling like you're in an elevator or everything just drops out from under you, imbalanced. And then other things are heightened stress, anxiety, and panic. Your tests keep coming back normal. Everyone keeps saying it's just anxiety. It's not. You have a recent hormonal shift, like you're postpartum or going through perimenopause or menopause. That's a big one as well. History, either recent or previous, of concussion or head injury or a large stressful event. I know people who this has been triggered through getting divorced, through the loss of a parent, through children having struggles at school, really hard things in life that are perceived as stressful events because they are objectively stressful, all can also be triggers for vestibular migraine to start happening. Remember, there are more symptoms than this. So if you don't see one of your symptoms or all of your symptoms listed on this list, please shoot me a DM and tell me you listened to this class, and I'm happy to help you work through that. So next, how do we actually treat vestibular migraine? I love to use this thing called the wheel of management. It is my new favorite thing, and people in vestibular group fit have absolutely been loving it. So I will tell you exactly how to use this in 1 second, but I want to remind you that treatment is never just one thing. We use a treatment pie and the wheel of management. The treatment pie is this pile of tools that you have in your proverbial toolkit, whether it's physical or imaginary. It's going to be a little bit of both. And those treatments all add up together to be one really solid, comprehensive treatment plan so that if you do get an attack, you know what to do. And most of the time, you're not getting attacks. I have seen so many people go weeks and weeks and weeks migraine attack free from this program, which is fantastic. So, the wheel of management is if the center of this wheel is zero and each piece of this pie is a different aspect and the outside of the pie is 10, you rate yourself. So, for example, if my mindset is a 2, I'm not feeling so great about that. My movements maybe a 5, support, and you kind of go through this. If it makes a perfect circle on the outside, I am a 10 out of 10 on all of these. Usually you'll be feeling pretty good. But for most people, it kind of looks more like a spider web where some of these are a 3, some of them are a 0, some of them are a 10, some of them are a 7. And that kind of creates a jagged circle instead. And you want it to look like a really solid, huge wheel. And I will show you even more how to use that in the future in vestibular group fit. But each one of these pieces of pie gets a dot. You connect the dots and see what that looks like. And then you can kind of say, okay, I am doing really well on sleep. Maybe I sleep really, really well every single night, but I've been really slacking on my nutrition, my blood sugar, understanding what's going on in my body, and mindset. And so those are things that you can prioritize working on in the future. We treat vestibular migraine really comprehensively. That is the best, absolute best way to do it. It's never just one thing. Okay, so next I want to tell you about my patients and clients. I have had thousands at this point, and the people who do this work get so much better. I'm going to introduce you to just a couple of them. But Ashley is a mom of two, living with her husband and young children. Her symptoms began postpartum after her second child, but it took her 3 years to get diagnosed with vestibular migraine and triple PD, which is so frustrating because living with that uncertainty, again, going back to that uncertainty of like what is going on in my body, creates so many other issues down the line. So if you know what's going on, it really can be helpful. So she joined Vestibular Group Fit and has been doing absolutely fantastic. Joan is an empty nester mother of two. Her symptoms began after vestibular neuritis attack in a high stress situation at work. And then she has a history of classic migraine for 30 plus years, but never had dizziness before. And then as she was going through menopause and perimenopause, and then also that VN attack, she got diagnosed with VN, VM, and triple PD, which is a really common also combination. And then Emily, really busy college student. She's a nursing student under high stress all the time, no significant health history whatsoever, started getting dizzy in classes, went to university health, and was unable to get answers. Visited over 5 doctors before finding her diagnosis of vestibular migraine and triple PD. And I know some people are like, 5 doctors, oh my gosh, that's so many. And some of you are like, oh my gosh, I've seen 85 plus. It really runs the gamut. Ashley is now doing great. She has very few attacks on a regular basis. She has them maybe a couple of times a month after implementing these strategies. Joan is doing super, super well as well. She did some VRT stuff, a bunch of lifestyle changes. She does take medication. She's doing fantastic. And then Emily is back in nursing school, which is fantastic. She had to take a semester off, but currently she's back in nursing school and really has been talking to her professors about the things she needs to do and making sure that she has the accommodations she needs at school and in the clinic as well. Okay, so how did they do it? Everyone's always like, what do you mean this is possible? It is so possible. Your goals are possible. Traveling is possible. Hanging out with your family is possible. All the things you want to do are possible. It just takes time and consistency. So, mindset is the first thing. I always say mindset first, everything else comes after, because the dizzy, anxious, dizzy cycle is so incredibly real. Not all dizziness comes from anxiety. That's not what I'm saying at all. But dizziness absolutely drives anxiety, and then the anxiety will drive more dizziness. This is the basis of triple PD. It's not the only thing going on with triple PD, but it's the basis of triple PD or persistent postural perceptual dizziness, and it also drives migraine. One of the biggest migraine bucket fillers, you want to build a we say you want to build a bigger bucket for migraine so you have more room for triggers. One of the biggest triggers that is kind of filling up your bucket too high to cause an attack or to trigger an attack is stress across the board in research, in my clinical experience. And so breaking this mindset of I'm never going to get better, the dizziness is causing so much anxiety, things like that, we're going to work together to break that dizzy, anxious, dizzy cycle. The next is movement. People who move and exercise have less dizziness and fewer migraine attacks than those who do not. We find this again and again in research so many times over. So, finding a way to move your body that brings you joy, that helps you connect with your body, really building that trust and self confidence and security in your inner self comes through movement and mindset, of course. But this movement stuff is so important. And we offer tons of movement classes for all levels and all different types, sort of like a gym membership for your vestibular system that we'll talk about later. Education. Remember at the very beginning, we talked about how that lack of certainty, lack of knowledge, and lack of control is so much of what drives this dizzy, anxious, dizzy cycle and is involved in so much of chronic illness. That absolutely did not cause the chronic illness, cause vestibular migraine, but it's something that absolutely drives it to get worse or at least not get better. And so we believe that the more you know about your vestibular disorder, and this is shown in research as well, the more empowered you'll be to access the right treatments, to feel better faster, to speak up for yourself at the doctor's office, to advocate for yourself with your family. The more you are educated, the more you understand what's going on in your body, the better you will feel long term. So we have hundreds of videos on the education behind the vestibular system, things to do about it, how to do returning to the grocery store, moving your head again. What is vestibular migraine? That lecture is an hour and a half long, so buckle up. It's a good one. There is so much information in here. Most people say, oh my God, I've never, after having this for 25 plus years, learned as much as I did in the first hour of being a vestibular group fit member. And then the support. You are never alone, and you should know that. Support groups can sometimes often feel cyclical and frustrating, but I promise you this group is so much different. Everyone is focused on what they can do. Again, shifting your mindset about dizziness and vertigo is the number one thing you should do in order to reduce your vestibular symptoms. When you go through the basics, you get to choose your first basic. If you're like, I don't know what to choose, I always say choose mindset because this is going to help you break the dizzy, anxious, dizzy cycle, reduce the stress and migraine attacks, reduce yourself asking yourself, why the heck does this keep happening to me? Doing something about it comes from stopping asking yourself that question so much, stopping the fear of staying home alone, driving, going out, all of the things. It's like, oh my God, I can never do this again. I can never travel, get on a plane. 100% of my patients who want to get on a plane again. So all of these things are possible. It takes breath work and mindfulness, EFT tapping, somatics, meditations, some combination of those. You don't have to use every single one, but finding the things that work in your toolkit for your mindset are all available in Vestibular Group Fit for you. Number 2 of the vestibular migraine pie, movement. So people who move are less dizzy than those who do not. I am not messing around when I'm saying this. This is shown in research over and over again, and it's shown that people have less frequent migraine attacks as well as their intensity. So reduction in frequency and intensity of migraine disorders with strength and cardio, all of which, of course, we will provide for you in a vestibular safe way. It's going to reduce the toxic load and chronic inflammation if that's something that you're dealing with. It is going to help reduce your fatigue and actually improve your endurance. Some people say, well, I'm so tired all the time, I could never exercise. That's actually the opposite of the thing we need to be doing. The more strength you build in a very intentional, scaled way, which of course I will walk you through how to do, the better you will feel and the more energy you'll actually have. You're going to strengthen the connection between your vestibular system and your body, which creates trust and endurance and confidence in yourself again. And then, of course, we offer every single kind of movement you could ask for: strength, supine, standing, chair, advanced, beginner, tai chi, Pilates, dance. We have ballet and ballroom, yoga nidra, like literally the list goes on. There are so many cardio, there are return to run program, all the things you could want are in here, and they are dedicated to being safe for your vestibular system to actually strengthen your vestibular system. There are beginner classes for the newbies, and then you'll work your way into regular live classes in a scaled, consistent manner. Three is education. Again, I already told you that the more you know, my favorite cliche, but it's really empowering to actually understand what it is that's going on in your body. Please do not go down the Google rabbit hole. It is not helpful, and you will find way more questionable answers than real answers. It's confusing, it's hard to read, it's just a lot, and you have to scroll, which triggers visual vertigo, which we also treat in vestibular group fit. Seriously, the education aspect of this is so important. I cannot stress this enough. You need to understand what's going on in your body in order for you to help your body kind of get back that connection and undo that dizziness. Support. Finding yourself a community that actually gets it and can walk this journey with you. This is so important. Some of us have friends with vestibular disorder, most of us do not. And getting 24/7 access to myself, to Dr. Jenna, and all the other vestibular warriors in group is something that is going to be a game changer for you. So, there are bi weekly coaching calls. So, every other week, a couple times a month, there are coaching calls in group. We always have a little topic for like the first 10-15 minutes. It's usually something that people have been asking for, like, what the heck do we do about nausea? Or how do I return to driving? Things that hot topics people want to know about, something new in the research. And then after that, you get to ask me whatever you want. Seriously, any question that you want, anything you need to point in the right direction, whatever it is, you can ask me live. Or, of course, you can submit the question beforehand. It's either at noon or 6 p.m. Eastern Time, depending on the week. And that is so everyone around the world basically can access depending on what time it is. Live, but of course it's always recorded, just like everything else. All the movement classes are recorded, everything's always recorded. So you can access it anytime. And if you're like, I don't want to ask that, I want to be anonymous about it, you can either submit it beforehand or you can anonymously ask in the Facebook group. And I respond to all questions within 24 hours. And so does Dr. Jenna. I want you to sit here for a second and really think about what your goals would be. Imagine your life where you can pick up and plan a trip with your family without thinking it's going to be a disaster. You can go on a walk by yourself, get lost, and come home still feeling great and ready to do something else. Dizziness not being your 24/7 symptom priority. You could be present with your family and loved ones instead of focusing on the dizziness. Sit here and think for a second. What is it that you would like to do? Some people want to drive, some people want to go to the grocery store, some people want to do lots of different things, right? Some people want to go to Disneyland. All of the things are possible. You just need the right tools. I see it happen every single day. These are just a few of them. So today's win is someone traveled to Madrid. It's the very first time I've traveled on a plane since this nasty vertigo episode, and I was so scared and anxious I couldn't sleep last night. But I followed everything Dr. Oak recommended and prepared, and both flights went well, and I made it. I'm so proud of myself. Win from the weekend. I went on a hike, got lost, had to walk on top of a railroad, which she did picture, but she's in it, so I didn't want to show that. I had to walk on the railroad on a bridge to cut time getting back to the car. I'm really afraid of heights and they make me really dizzy and cause crippling anxiety. So finding myself on a slatted bridge was the stuff of nightmares, but I made it across without falling in. I want to follow up by saying the rest of this post was a lot longer. Later that night, she also got ready in under 45 minutes because she was late to go to a comedy show with her friends where she sat in a comedy show for like an hour and a half or 2 hours and didn't get dizzy at all. Big day. And then win Wednesday win. I not only survived a week at one of my family's favorite places, but last week, which is Disney World, but rode almost every single ride that I wanted to and had a blast. On our park days, we stayed open until close, walking around 20,000 steps a day. And we had this trip planned for a really long time before any of my health struggles. So I felt like a looming and insurmountable challenge for so long. I'd never thought I'd dread the trip to my favorite place, but I did it. And I was so relieved after our park day. That is huge. Can you imagine going to Disneyland and not getting dizzy and walking 20,000 steps a day? Like, all of the things that you want are possible. It is time to stop trying to treat yourself on YouTube, wondering why you're feeling dizzy all the time, blaming yourself for your vestibular disorder. This is not your fault, and paying endless money to doctors and neurologists who just don't get it and don't understand. It's time for you to start understanding your vestibular system, strengthening your vestibular system, understanding your vestibular disorder, reducing your migraine attacks, stopping the chronic triple PD and dizziness, strengthening your mind and body, really helping that confidence and trust build between the two, getting the support that works for you, and managing your symptoms and living your life again, just like all of these people. There are thousands of these in group. These are just three I pulled. Small backstory by Taylor. This is really long. She's great. She is a long haul COVID vestibular migraine warrior, just a little backup. And when I met her, she literally was messaging me saying, I can't get off the couch. I almost am quitting my job. I'm working very part time just to like hang on with my boss. I really don't know what to do. And she has this set of family friends that was one of her biggest goals to get back to hanging out with them. They've been friends literally since they were teens, and she's in her 30s. So she and her best friend and then her husband and his best friend have all been friends forever. And before she got sick, they did everything together. And this was something that she was really, really missing, like dinner, camping, boating, hiking, traveling, literally the people you see the most in life. And all of a sudden during COVID for her, this came to a halt. That was last April. It absolutely was crushing for her, of course, right? So most of her weekends were them coming there and her crying on the couch. And she finally joined group and she's like, I don't know. Literally, she said, I don't know if I can afford it. And I said, well, if you can, we're here for you when you're ready. And she joined. And today she made it to see the youngest play in a baseball Prince in a parade, which I think is amazing. A couple of weeks ago, she went to prom walk-ins for the oldest. She went shopping with her daughter and out to eat in the mall. Didn't miss a single volleyball game where her daughter was cheering and playing volleyball. So she did basketball when she was cheering and volleyball when she was playing volleyball. And she's so grateful. And she did share pictures. She was on a boat in the picture with her friends and family, camping with them that same night. She shared this picture after this post. She did everything. Everything she wanted to be able to do got done. Tonight, we're having a cookout game night with the kiddos, and she's so excited. If it weren't for stumbling across Madison on Instagram in December, I'd still be terrified to move my body. This was only 4 months after she joined Vestibular Group Fit. 4 months from the couch to going camping with friends. She went camping like pretty much the weekend after this. And she did it. Another one. And there, like I said, there are hundreds of these in group. Long post. Today's my Dizzyversary, which I love that word. I love that people are celebrating this. 1 year ago, I developed a vestibular neuritis. Her anxiety shot through the roof. And then she went to the ER over and over and over again. And then she developed, 8 months in, developed vestibular migraine. Of course, this really was a big setback and put her in a really not so great place, hit with severe depression. She could barely get out of bed. I remember she was a really active part of Vestibular Group Fit for the first couple of months, and then she really went silent. And so I checked on her, I messaged her, and I was like, hey, are you okay? I just want to really check on you. I know you're still here. And she's like, yeah, I'm just really dealing with a lot of depression. I'm not getting out of bed. I can't work out. I can't do the mindset work. I can't meditate. I can't do the things. And so I said, hey, you know what? Take your time. When you're ready, we are still here for you all the time. I'm going to cry. So now, a couple months later, a couple weeks later after that, she's like, okay, I'm going to start doing like a little bit of a yoga, a little bit of stretching. I'm going to try and breathe. I'm going to get out of bed. And she has a couple kids. And she's now at her 1 year mark and 100% better. And when she says 100%, she means it. She says, thank you for helping this girl get her life back. I could not have done it without you. If your journey has just started, do not give up. These ladies will do whatever they can to see your life balanced again. Don't quit. Cheers to Dizzy Free Days. She is not joking around. Dr. Jenna and I will do anything to get you where you want to be. We will do the research for you. We will make sure you have the right resources. We will make sure to check in on you when you need it. If you ask, we will answer. This is the best place to be if you have a vestibular disorder. And like I said, the stories that Brandy is telling here, Taylor has told, there are so many of these in group. I cannot even tell you of people with vestibular migraine, triple PD for literally from 1 year to 30 years. And people get better. So I want to kind of go over all the things that are included. This is a lot of stuff. So don't stare at the screen and feel overwhelmed. I'm going to break it down. So Every weekday, there is a workout which calculates to between 8 and 9 workouts a week because some days there are more than one. We have strength, cardio, beginner, advanced, supine, seated, Tai Chi, Pilates, yoga, Nidra, dance, and so much more. So, like, literally everything you can imagine is there. It is aired at 9 a.m. and or 10 a.m. every day Eastern time. That's New York City time, but they're all 100% recorded and can be taken any time. And of course, they can all be scaled to a different level. So if you're like, I'm a beginner, but I want to take this live class, you can always scale it to your level, and we'll teach you how to scale, of course. It is the most comprehensive approach to vestibular health through movement, mindset, support, and education. We really pride ourselves on doing all of the research on all of the things that you would need to do to manage your vestibular disorder and breaking it down into super small bite-sized pieces. Within that, you will get all of the access to all of the educational and lifestyle content, of course. You're going to get access to the private Facebook group with a couple hundred members in there. If you have any question any time of the day, it will always get answered within 24 hours. It will always be medically accurate and research based. And if it's not, I'm going to say, in my clinical experience, there's not research for this, but this is what I see. You're also going to get answers from other people, and it's always focused on what you can do. It's a very positive, supportive place. It is not like other vestibular Facebook groups that exist on the internet. And if you're having a hard day and you just need to rant, there's a side chat room for that specifically. There's a monthly balance challenge. So every month there is a new challenge that, of course, you could participate in, from single leg stance to feet together, eyes closed on foam to tons of other strange things that I think up for you to challenge yourself with every month. 2 coaching calls every month that are about an hour long. They almost always go over to like an hour and 15, but we do our best to stay on schedule, team. It is the best place to ask me questions if you want like a live kind of an answer. Any question that you think up, you can ask in there and I will do my very best to get to it. Again, this is why it always goes over to like 75 minutes. Unlimited access to Dr. Jenna and myself. If you ask in that Facebook group, you will get an answer. I get a lot of emails every single day, so the fastest ways to get a answer is through the Facebook group. You are not required to have a Facebook account in order to be a vestibular group fit member, but of course, it is helpful. We always are updating things, so constant new materials, constant updates. There's a new meditation every other week. There's a new how-to every other week, and the how-to content, which again, these here. And then whenever I think of something, like someone was like, hey, what's the deal with electrolytes? I was like, I'm going to make that video. Someone's like, what's the deal with supplements? I'm going to make that video. If you have a question and I need to give it a longer answer, I will make that a video, usually by the end of the week. So seriously, it is the most comprehensive program you could ask for. Weekly goal sharing and weekly win sharing. This helps with motivation so much more than you would think. Every single Monday, I tag everyone in a post. It's like, hey, let's set our goals. And every single Saturday, we share our wins. It could be as small or as big as you want it to be. I think all wins are huge wins, but not everyone agrees with me. It's usually people saying about themselves, like, this isn't that big, and usually it's giant. I think all wins are great wins. There is a 6-week neck strength protocol in there. So if you're like, I have neck pain, I have upper back pain, I'm having trouble moving my head around, that 6-week neck strength protocol is going to be super helpful. And then if you are a US resident, 30% off all supplements, which oftentimes pays for people's memberships, which is in the US only. It's 10% in Canada, and then all other countries FullScript does not yet have a agreement with. So I don't have a FullScript in those countries, but when they finally ever do open up to like the UK, Australia, things like that, I will get a discount affiliation from them. And when you sign up, you are going to go through the onboarding quiz, which is a very quick 4-question quiz that asks you about your diagnosis, if you have one or if you don't. It asks you about if you have neck pain, anxiety, fatigue, all these different things, and that is going to customize the content in your actual coursework. So if you have vestibular migraine and POTS, if you have vestibular migraine and long COVID, if you have vestibular migraine and triple PD, you can click as many as you want. If you think you might have a history of concussion, you can click concussion. You'll watch the stuff about concussion. So seriously, this is the best thing you can do for your vestibular system. What is the cost? Of course, this is what everyone's going to ask, and I want you to stay tuned because there is a little bit of a discount at the end. Well, a lot of a discount at the end. So we think it's unreasonable for you to need to keep spending $700 for a single visit to a specialist who doesn't even understand the answers you need. This is so common. People are like, the doctor doesn't understand. The doctor doesn't do what I say. The doctor doesn't know what's wrong with me. That's ridiculous. We're going to figure it out together. It is either $85 a month if you are in a 3-month commitment or $70 a month for a 6-month commitment. Somehow this sentence at the bottom got cut off, but this gets you an all access pass to everything in the movement classes, the mindset, the meditations, the support, everything that you need, literally everything that you need. We go over supplements, we go over medications, we go over everything that you need is included in here. And this is for if you are searching for an all in one comprehensive support program for your dizziness. If you want an option that does not include more medication, I am a person who will 100% support you if you want to take medications and 100% support you if you don't. It is completely your body, your choice here. But if you want an option that involves more than that, because managing migraine is more than medication, this is for you. If you are ready to put in the work, seriously, if you're like, I'm going to purchase this, but I'm not going to probably do it, then this is not for you. And I'm just going to tell you straight up. And if you feel like you've tried everything and nothing is working and no one understands you, I promise I get you. I am the person who loves nothing more than to work with the people who say nothing works because something will work. And vestibular group fit works. If you feel like you've spent thousands of dollars and thousands of hours researching and paying for things, and you've seen every doctor and tried everything, I want you to know that this is different. It focuses on the 4 pillars of overall health and wellness for your migraine and vestibular disorder. It's everything in one place, so you have all access pass to all the things, and it makes sure you get access to the highest quality of care and research possible and available for you. So, frequently asked questions, do I have to sign up for a long-term commitment? So, we have a minimum commitment of 3 months, and this is because we take regular surveys of your progress, and we find that when you hit that 45-day mark and you've put in the work for the last couple weeks, you can't just sign up and then expect in 45 days for things to be magic. But when you sign up and then you put the work in, you start with the basics, you do the start here coursework, within 45 days, people start to feel better. And within 90 days, those really much bigger wins start to happen. So we want to make sure that you get the most out of your time here. So we do require a minimum of 3 months. What time are classes? So workouts are every weekday at 9 and 10 a.m. Eastern time. So that's New York City time. However, they're also all recorded and can be accessed at any time of the day. And you can access all previous classes as well. And then the coaching calls are also at, I think I said this earlier, but at either 12 p.m. or 6 p.m. Eastern time every other week, so twice a month. And those are also accessible as a recording at all times. What if I don't have a diagnosis? This is so common. You do not need a diagnosis for this to work for you. Dizziness and chronic is either chronic or acute, and regardless, it's treated pretty much the same from a comprehensive standpoint. From the things that you need to do in order to make yourself feel better here is the thing in vestibular group fit. So whether you know for sure if you have vestibular migraine or not, whether you're up in the air between VM, triple PD, Meniere's disease, vestibular neuritis, regardless, you need to be doing the same thing from a comprehensive point of view, all of which are in vestibular group fit. How do I access all the group materials? So everything is going to be in your portal. Once you purchase your subscription, we'll send you an email with the instructions on how to create your login information and access literally everything that you need. So we'll send you this invite and, of course, our private support Facebook group link as well. And then we'll have you take the onboarding quiz. Your coursework will be customized and you'll just have access 24/7. You click, I have completed this, and it does this nice little, I have done this much bar in each course. And then everything is just in there all the time. The coaching calls, the workouts, the meditations, the mindset work, everything you need is in there. Do I give a discount on supplements? Yes, absolutely. If you already have a full script through someone else, you can log out of that full script account, make a new full script account, and use this one instead because it's 30% off in the United States and 10% off in Canada. I wish I could give everyone in the world this discount, but most people in the US actually pay for most of, or at least part of, their subscription through this. If you live with vestibular migraine, supplements are almost always a requirement, whether you're doing a detox protocol or you are doing migraine related supplements, which of course we go over in group, and they get expensive. They add up real quick. And people send me their receipts sometimes and they'll save like $140, $200 every month or every quarter, however often they're ordering. And as an absolute thank you for taking the time to watch this video, I wanted to give you a 15% discount on any Vestibular Group Fit subscription of your choice. So use the code VM at checkout. That's the letter V and then the letter M, super simple. Click the little spot where it says got a coupon, click here, enter that in. If you have any trouble with it, please let me know because I wanted to give you this discount for today. So today, if you have a 3-month subscription, usually it's $255 for the 3 months, but today it's going to be $191.25 for your first subscription cycle. For a 6-month commitment, it is only $59.50 a month. That is incredible because this is literally thousands of dollars of content a month for a fraction of the price. Everything you need for your vestibular disorder for $59.50 a month. So it's going to be $357 today and $420 every 6 months afterwards, as it is a subscription service until canceled. You may cancel anytime. Of course, it is completely your choice. I don't think you'll want to. Most people come, they stay forever because they love the workout, they love the mindfulness, and they absolutely love the support they receive. So again, use the code VM at checkout for this incredible discount today. And you'll also receive these free bonus resources, which are the Better Balance ebook and the 14-day single leg stance challenge book as well. So there are payment plans at checkout. So there is a payment processing system at the end if you want to pay month to month instead of all upfront. That is going to walk you through how to do that at checkout as well. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram at the Vertigo Doctor or shoot me an email, Madison at thevertigodoctor.com. I cannot wait to see you in group. I cannot wait to see you change your life just like Brandy and Taylor and all of the other women and men in this group who have seriously made huge strides in their vestibular journey and are undoing their daily dizziness. I love you, and I'll see you later.